Oh, Sarah will be back. She always does. My mother-in-law's words hung in the air, thick and cloying like the sickly sweet scent of the anniversary cake Chad had surprised me with in that Lisbon cafe. The pitying glances from his family seared into me, each one a brand on my soul. My stomach dropped with the force of an elevator plummeting toward Earth. We were celebrating 10 years, a decade of carefully constructed lies. Or rather, Chad's lies. The sun beat down on the cobblestone streets, reflecting off the Tagus River and blinding me with its false cheer. My hands trembled as I cut a slice of the cake, the sugary sweetness a cruel mockery of the bitter taste in my mouth. Chad, emboldened by wine and his family's silent approval, launched into another one of his helpful critiques of my latest design project. "Just trying to keep you grounded, honey," he'd said, his voice laced with condescension. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed, a skill honed over years of swallowing my pride. His words were calculated, designed to chip away at my self-worth. Years of controlling finances, subtly undermining my career and isolating me from my friends. It all crystallized in that moment. I wouldn't be broken again. A small flicker of defiance ignited within me. Chad didn't know it, but a quiet email pinged on my phone confirmation. My small vineyard marketing plan had secured its first major investor. I wouldn't be coming home, not as the same Sarah anyway. Ever been there? Underappreciated. Want to see Chad get his just desserts? Subscribe and brace yourself. The story's just getting started. Promise it'll be oh so satisfying. Big twist ahead. It hadn't always been this way. I recalled our wedding day. The grand ballroom, overflowing with lilies, a stark contrast to the modest garden wedding I'd envisioned. Chad's mother, ever the matriarch, had insisted. "Darling, you deserve the best," she'd cooed, a veiled jab at my humble upbringing. It was a pattern. She always elevated Chad, diminishing me. Christmas, 3 years prior, was another painful reminder. Chad received a state-of-the-art woodworking studio, a testament to his weekend hobby. I received a generic gift certificate to a department store. Chad's talents are exceptional, his father had announced, raising a glass in a toast. The scent of pine needles and cinnamon felt suffocating. I smiled politely, the familiar sting of disappointment burning in my eyes. The final straw came with the news of my acceptance into a prestigious design fellowship in Italy. It was a career-defining opportunity, a chance to finally step out of Chad's shadow. But when I told him, his reaction was chilling. "Italy, and what about us?" he demanded, his voice rising. "You know I can't just pick up and leave my job. Are you really going to put your career above our marriage?" The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. That's the moment I knew I couldn't live this way anymore. The vineyard became my refuge, but the early days were brutal. Sun-baked earth cracked under my worn boots, and my hands bled from pruning gnarled vines. Sleep came in fitful snatches, punctuated by the relentless chirping of cicadas and the gnawing fear of being discovered. I was accustomed to elegant offices, soft fabrics, not this. The relentless heat, the backbreaking labor, the constant battle against weeds and pests, it was a world away from the manicured existence I'd known. Yet slowly, a quiet confidence began to bloom. The vineyard's transformation mirrored my own. First, the local markets embraced the new label, drawn to its quality. Then, whispers of Sarah's wine began circulating among sommeliers. Word spread that I was single-handedly turning around a failing vineyard. The first milestone arrived with a glowing review in a prestigious wine magazine. "A revelation," the critic declared, praising the wine's unexpected depth and character. Chad would be livid. I pictured him choking on his words, his face red with fury. My parents, however, remained unconvinced. Living on a farm. My mother scoffed during one of our infrequent phone calls. "Sarah, you have a degree, you should be using your talents, not getting your hands dirty." She didn't understand, this was using my talents. No, she couldn't see the quiet revolution taking place, the empire I was building, vine by vine. I resolved to remain silent, letting my success speak for itself. Then came the email. "I know where you are." The words were a cold wave crashing over my newfound peace. Chad's reach extended far, it seemed. I deleted the message, a shiver running down my spine despite the Spanish sun. The second milestone came with the exclusive contract to supply a Michelin-starred restaurant in Barcelona. A triumph. I saw the potential, the long-term viability of what I had created. But the fear lingered, a shadow clinging to the edges of my joy. Should I disappear again, Change my name. One evening, a visitor arrived at the vineyard. A tall, imposing figure emerged from a sleek black car, the city's shine on his shoes. My heart hammered in my chest. Was it Chad? No, it was Alessandro, the restaurant's owner, brimming with appreciation. He had come to personally convey his gratitude. His visit brought relief, but also a heightened awareness of my precarious position. I needed to protect myself to solidify my success before Chad could destroy it. Therefore, the third milestone became my most strategic. I quietly secured a second vineyard, expanding my operations and further entrenching myself in the community. I took a calculated risk, knowing that Chad's discovery was inevitable, but also knowing that with each passing day, I grew stronger, more resilient, more prepared. The silence I maintained with my family was a shield, protecting my progress from their skepticism and Chad's potential sabotage. The world was my oyster. No fear, no regret, no turning back. A familiar area code flashed on my phone, jolting me. Chicago, my mother. Dread mixed with a strange pang of longing twisted in my gut. It had been months. "Sarah, darling," her voice, though strained, was laced with a forced cheerfulness. "We're having a family reunion. At Chad's parents' lake house. Everyone's so excited to see you." The words felt like a punch to the gut. Chad's lake house. Status in its purest, most ostentatious form. A place where I always felt like an outsider. I hesitated, mind racing. This could be an opportunity. Weeks crawled by, filled with meticulous planning. New clothes, understated but expensive, purchased online. A subtle shift in my demeanor, practiced in the mirror. No vulnerability, only strength. This was the ultimate test. Time to face the music. The day arrived. The lake house loomed, a monument to Chad's family's wealth. As I pulled up, I noticed the usual display of luxury cars and manicured lawns. This isn't my world, I reminded myself, it was never my world. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the rental car, the Spanish sun still clinging to my skin. My mother rushed forward, enveloping me in a hug that felt both familiar and foreign. "Sarah, you look different." Her eyes scanned me, searching for the old Sarah, the one she understood. She wouldn't find her. "You look great, Mom," I replied, my voice steady. "Everything is great." Inside, the noise level was deafening. A cacophony of greetings, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Chad's family surrounded me, their faces a mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled judgment. "Sarah, darling, you've lost weight," my mother-in-law said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Are you eating enough?" I smiled serenely. "Never better, actually. Spain agrees with me." Chad was nowhere to be seen. I made my way through the crowd, a silent observer, noting the subtle power dynamics, the carefully curated displays of wealth. They hadn't changed, I had. My parents still looked at me with concern, unaware of my success, my strength, my revenge. I was the calm in the storm. Dinner was a lavish affair, a multi-course meal served on china that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe before Spain. Chad finally appeared, swaggering towards me with a forced smile. "Sarah, good to see you, glad you could make it." He extended his hand, I didn't take it. "Don't patronize me, Chad." The words sliced through the polite chatter like a shard of ice. His smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of annoyance. "Good, time to play my hand." My father cleared his throat. Now, children," he began, but I cut him off. "Actually, Dad, there's something I need to share." I raised my voice slightly, drawing the attention of the entire room. Faces turned towards me, a sea of expectant expressions. Chad's mother frowned, her lips pursed in disapproval. This was not going according to her script. I reached into my bag and pulled out a sleek, leather-bound portfolio. Inside, nestled among photographs of sun-drenched vineyards and happy workers, were copies of Wine Spectator, Decanter, and The World of Fine Wine, each featuring glowing reviews of my wines. I placed the portfolio on the table, open to the most recent article. "Perhaps you all would like to read about what I've been up to in Spain." A hush fell over the room as Chad's brother, a venture capitalist with a penchant for bragging, picked up the magazine. His eyes widened as he scanned the article, a slow dawning of comprehension spreading across his face. He stammered, This is your vineyard," I nodded calmly. "It is, and it's thriving." The room erupted in a cacophony of murmurs. Chad's mother gasped, her hand flying to her chest. My own mother looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of shock and dawning pride. Chad stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief. The venture capitalist skimmed another article. Exclusive contract with El Bulli's protege restaurant in Barcelona? Unbelievable. He looked up at me, his eyes gleaming with newfound respect. Sarah, this is remarkable. I locked eyes with Chad, his face now a study in horror. The blood had drained from his face, leaving him pale and shaken. The smugness, the condescension, the silent mockery all gone, replaced by a raw, naked fear. But how? He stammered, his voice barely a whisper. I smiled, a genuine smile this time, not the polite, practiced smile I'd worn for so many years. Let's just say I found my calling, Chad, and perhaps a little freedom from your helpful guidance. I delivered the line with a calm satisfaction. My father, finally grasping the magnitude of my success, beamed with pride. That's my girl, the power had shifted. The abandoned wife was now a force to be reckoned with. A successful businesswoman, an independent woman. The woman Chad had tried to break was stronger than ever. The ensuing silence was deafening. Chad's father, ever the pragmatist, was the first to break it. So Sarah, about this vineyard, are you looking for investors? His eyes gleamed with sudden interest. I almost laughed, almost. My vineyard is doing quite well, thank you, Richard, no need for handouts. I returned his gaze, unflinching. The words hung in the air, a clear rejection of their unspoken attempts to control me even now. Chad's mother, recovering quickly, launched into damage control. Darling, we're so proud of you. We always knew you had it in you. The hypocrisy stung. I just stared at her. Silence was a powerful weapon. My own mother, bless her heart, stepped forward. Sarah, why didn't you tell us? We were so worried. I softened slightly but maintained my resolve. I wanted to show you, Mom, not just tell you. A single tear welled up in her eyes. Chad, still reeling, tried a different tactic. So, what does this mean for us, Sarah? His voice was a pathetic plea. I knew what he was implying. My success was meaningless if it didn't include him. Us. I raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement dancing in my eyes. There is no us, Chad. There hasn't been for a long time. I pulled a set of papers from my bag and slid them across the table. Divorce papers. I expect them signed and returned within the week. The blood drained from his face as he picked them up, his hands trembling. You can't be serious, he whispered. I stood up, gathering my things. Oh, Chad, I've never been more serious in my life. You laughed then, you're not laughing now. I turned to my parents. I'll be staying at a hotel tonight. I'll call you tomorrow. And then I walked away, leaving the stunned silence in my wake. I was finally free. Oh, Sarah, wait, Chad croaked, desperation lacing his voice. The lake house, it's half mine. You can't just waltz in here and disrupt my life. He grasped at straws, clinging to the last vestiges of his perceived control. His words reeked with the scent of fear. I paused, a slow smile spreading across my face. Half yours, I echoed, a calculated calm washing over me. That's where you're wrong, Chad, so terribly wrong. I reached into my bag again, retrieving a single, crisp document. Remember those routine tax filings you had me sign every year? I asked, my voice deceptively gentle. The ones you assured me were too complicated for me to understand. Chad's eyes darted nervously, his face paling further. He began sweating profusely. I could see the realization dawning on him, a cold wave of dread washing over him. Turns out I'm not as clueless as you thought. I took the liberty of having them reviewed by an independent forensic accountant. I paused for dramatic effect, letting the silence amplify the tension. The lake house, Chad, along with several other properties and investment accounts, they're held in a trust controlled entirely by me. The revelation hit him like a physical blow. His mouth opened and closed soundlessly. He stared at the document, then at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. That's impossible, he finally sputtered. I shrugged. The paperwork speaks for itself. It was a strategic move, Chad. A safeguard against potential mismanagement, one you unwittingly facilitated. I explained, my voice dripping with sweet vindication. You see, the trust was established years ago, using funds from a small inheritance you conveniently forgot I received from my grandmother, structured in such a way that I have complete control until, well, I deem otherwise. The term, forensic accountant, hung heavily in the air, a testament to my due diligence. A collective gasp swept through the room. Chad's parents exchanged horrified glances. Their carefully constructed facade of wealth and control was crumbling before their very eyes. Chad's father, Richard, choked out, You've been planning this. Planning, no, preparing, absolutely. I looked at him, my expression unwavering. I simply protected my interests. something Chad never allowed me to do. I watched his face, seeing the color drain to leave a sickly pallor. Chad slumped into his chair, defeated. The lake house, a symbol of his family's power and his own status, was now completely out of his reach. He needed it for business associates to host parties; without it, his image was damaged. The ultimate victory. The leverage was mine. Months blurred. My parents tried to reconnect, their guilt palpable. I responded selectively, appreciating the effort but wary of old patterns. Professionally, the vineyard flourished, earning international accolades. Physically, I felt stronger, healthier, the sun-kissed skin a testament to my new life. Emotionally, I was lighter, freer than I'd ever been. In the end, Chad faded into a bitter memory. The lake house was sold, the proceeds discreetly donated to women's shelters. Looking back, my worth wasn't defined by acceptance, but by my own resilient spirit. I own my own power. Satisfied, it's your turn. Share this story and inspire others. Choose success, not revenge. Live your best chapter, resilience rising.